guys, and welcome back to Chapter 8 of Naya Nuki. Now remember to pay close attention to the story because you do have questions to answer at the end, and make sure that you use those complete sentences by restating the question. If you need help, check out somebody who's doing a good job. They can show you how to restate those questions, and it's really quite easily. We practice in class, so there's really not a reason to not be able to do this. Let's get started with Chapter 8. Burial platform. Naya Nuki was a safe distance from the campsite and could walk upright again. About 4 miles from the Indian campsite, Naya Nuki stopped suddenly. She strained her eyes to make out something straight ahead of her. A short distance more, and she recognized a scene that sent chills through her whole body. As she got closer, she moved more slowly. Yes, it was a burial platform, built about 7 feet high, on 4 sturdy poles. This was a common form of burial among prairie Indians. Normally, Naya Nuki would never go near such a place, but for some reason she was strangely attracted to this solemn spot. It was the place that almost no Indian would go near after the burial ceremony was finished. The spirits would not be kind to anyone who disturbed the dead. For this reason, Naya Nuki felt quite safe from enemies. There would be no one else anywhere near this place. Naya Nuki was close enough to see the sled on top of the platform, but there was no body on it. Usually the body lay facing up. It was brought to the side of the sled. Then the sled was lifted up onto the 4 poles and secured there with the body facing the sky. Naya Nuki glanced down and saw a small body in the grass beneath the platform. She could not move. She just looked at the dead child. It was a boy, about 5 or 6 years old. Many thoughts raced through her mind. She remembered again the death of her tiny brother. Death terrified Naya Nuki. At this moment she wanted to be home more than ever. The small body of the boy was wrapped in a beautiful buffalo hide. The strong prairie winds must have blown the body off the platform. A short distance away, Naya Nuki saw the body of a dog, still in its harness. Naya Nuki knew the custom. The dog belonged to the dead boy and was used to pull the sled and his master's body to the burial site. The dog was killed at the burial site and left near his master. The dog's reward was to join his master in death so that they both could go on to the land of the Great Spirit together. Naya Nuki also saw a buffalo skin bag that had fallen, spilling its contents on the ground. Near the bag lay 2 pairs of buffalo hide moccasins, a necklace of beaver claws, some dried meat and roots, 2 bone scrapers used for cleaning animal hides, and a supply of Indian paints of various colors. These were sent with the dead boy so that he could use them on his trip to the land of the Great Spirit. Naya Nuki longed to pick up the buffalo skin sack and fill it with the things lying on the ground. She could use most of them. She even thought about the buffalo hide wrapped around the body. These things could be had by just picking them up. She could use them to help her on her desperate struggle to get back to her own people. Naya Nuki stood without moving, silently, looking at this whole scene. She knew all the taboos, the things that one never did. No one ever touched anything that belonged to the dead. To do so would cause the evil spirits to visit the guilty one. Death could soon follow. Because that evil person had broken the taboos, the land of the Great Spirit would be closed to him after his death. Naya Nuki backed away, touching nothing. She circled north and walked on her lonely way. All the way she thought of her childhood. It was hard to concentrate on the dangers of her own journey. Naya Nuki remembered the good times where there was plenty of food and many skins and clothing and shelters. There was even time for doing beadwork and fancy sewing. Girls made dolls and played with them for hours. Naya Nuki was especially good at sewing, using thin strands of hide pulled through the hide with needles made of fine, sharp bones. Small boys and girls enjoyed swinging. Swings were fashioned from thick vines that grew up the trunks and branches of sturdy trees. Naya Nuki remembered a swing that went out over a deep pool of water. It was so much fun to swing out over the water and let go, plunging into the pool from high above. Boys used poles to vault across streams or over fallen trees. Girls tried their skills with the poles too. Naya Nuki had suffered a badly sprained ankle when she had vaulted across the stream and landed on a loose rock on the opposite shore. All cuts and injuries were serious. The only medicines available were herbs and their value was limited. Some games were for boys only. War games were boys' favorites. Sticks were used to sling mud balls during mock battles. Those hit would fall as dead warriors do during a real battle. In other make-believe battles, the boys ran, jumped, and kicked each other. Knocking an opponent down meant he was dead. The boys would play these rough games until they were exhausted. Girls were never allowed to play war games. Boys also loved to wrestle. Two opponents would meet and try to throw each other over backwards. If a boy could put his opponent on his back twice, that boy was declared the winner. Often bets were taken on who would win. Gambling made the contest even more exciting. The day passed quickly, followed by another night and day. Naya Nuki's moccasins were wearing thin. Her feet were toughened to the rough walk. Her body was thin and hardened. Her face was dark and windburned. She had traveled hard for 11 days and was getting closer to her goal with each step. She walked through thick, deep grass over loose rock, among trees and bushes, and through shallow streams. On her 12th day, Naya Nuki felt more sure than ever that she would find her people, but her food supply was almost gone. She would need to find food soon. This might take precious time and slow her down. Game animals could now be seen in every direction. Great herds of buffalo grazed on the lush prairie grass. They would scarcely move as Naya Nuki came close. Many times she had to circle around great herds of giant beasts. She had no way of killing one of them and could only imagine how good a piece of the liver or the heart would taste. There were more trees than ever now, giving Naya Nuki many good places to hide in case of danger, and providing her with many safe places to camp for the night. Even though she felt much safer now, Naya Nuki still remained alert to any sound, odor, or sight that might signal danger. For several days, Naya Nuki had carried a stick. She had sharpened one end of it with her knife. The wood was very hard. She could use the stick to dig roots, to use as protection against snakes and wild animals. Wolves traveled the prairie in packs of 10 or 12 and could be dangerous to humans when they were starving. Naya Nuki hoped she would never have to use her stick against attacking wolves, but she would be ready. And that will do it for Chapter 8. So now, go in. My goodness, the sun hits in rather weird spots. Go in and answer your questions with complete sentences. And remember, if you don't know the answer, go back. Try it again. Listen again. Find the keywords and find the answer. Make sure you click submit. Have a great rest of your day. We'll see you tomorrow for Chapter 9.